Welcome back to Con Job, everyone. Thanks for tuning in or watching on YouTube or listening, however you're listening or whatever. This week, me, Dylan, and Jeremy are going to be doing. We talk about some of the shows that we've done since our last episode, which was the Megacon review. Just briefly touch on those, and then we kind of talk about the Great Square debate and how they're raising their rates and what other options are out there for people, and just see what everyone's doing. So hope you enjoy. All right, guys, welcome back to your favorite convention-related podcast, Con Job. So this week we got a couple of new topics, right? New tropics or new topips?
Depends tropics, yeah. It's been a while since MegaCon. What's been happening with everybody since then?
Let's just kind of briefly hit on some of the shows that we've done, just real quick. We don't have to go into any real depth. Just kind of talk about what they were, if they were good or bad, and then just kind of move on. So, Dylan, you probably had 37 of them. So,
well, we all started off February with MegaCon, so we're everybody's following MegaCon, and then weekend after that, there was a show that I wasn't in that I know Jeremy was in. I'm really excited to hear about. But other than that, I did Animeverse Fest in Houston on Valentine's Day. Had my brother-in-law and sister-in-law go, and so they got to work on Valentine's Day in Houston. Let's see. Missouri Comic-Con, one of those VXV events. Those are always great, 2-day shows. So nothing but great things to say about that one. And then did a 1-day pop-up event in Fort Myers, Florida, Southwest Florida Retro. I don't know if you heard about that one, but
I've heard of them, yeah.
I mean, it was local for my Florida guy. It was a 1-day event, made some good money, super cheap. So yeah, I hope that thing just keeps getting better. We had a good time with that one. And then last week, Texoma Comic-Con. And I guess I missed before that, we had Anime Seneca in Belton, Texas. So
I've heard of that one.
Yeah.
Seneca?
Yeah, I might be saying it wrong.
Seneca?
Seneca. So, ignore me.
No, I'm just always curious. So you said you did a VX, was it VXV?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Missouri. Still did well.
Yeah,
I'm waiting to hear like something bad about one of those. So
the only part is
still
just
think
getting in. That's the hardest part.
Getting in. Yeah.
We did that show too. So we had Sadie was there. So Jeremy, you did one show, right?
I only did one after Mega. That was Pensacon. It's a good one. Good one if you're only going to do one. It was good. Pensacon is very, very good. I will say it was down from last year. From far as I can tell, everyone that had done the show previously was down. I don't know anybody that outright had a bad show, but it was just down. It was Pensacon. Normally you walk around the show floor on Saturday and you're stuck wherever you're at. When the crowd's there, that's where you're at. You kind of have to waddle everywhere. This year wasn't the case. I know they moved some things around. The town normally has several venues. I think they were only in one other venue, and they made it very easy to get over there. I don't know the situation completely, but it was still a good show. If you can get into it, 1,000% worth doing. We stay out on the beach there. It's beautiful. Actually took the family this time, so Jackson got to go, and he waited in his first line to meet a celebrity, and it went very well. So overall success.
Okay. You guys drove straight from MegaCon there, or did you go home and then
Pensacon? So no, we actually it didn't make sense for us, so we overdid it for Mega so that we could have enough product for Pensacola, and just drove straight there, spent a couple days at the beach just enjoying it. It was very much worth it compared to driving home and then driving back to Florida and spending an extra. I think driving all the way back would have been like an extra 10 hours of driving and no beach time. So,
well, what was the celebrity that you got to meet?
Most people are going to know him as McLovin,
Nice.
which is odd for an 8-year-old to want to meet. But he does a How to Train Your Dragon character. and it's like he's like obsessed with How to Train Your Dragon right now. So it was kind of funny because like the dude's table had like all these 8x10s, and he was in like Kick-Ass.
Yeah.
And like all these movies, there's like all this like violent like blood spatter on a bunch of stuff, and then he's got like 2 like 8x10s with him and a dragon as a cartoon character. And Jackson was like, I don't know any of this other stuff. They were like, he was like, why do they call you McLovin? And he was really nice about how he handled all of it. But
my son has that T-shirt with the license.
Yeah, that was like several people were just there with that shirt or like buying that 8x10. It was funny.
I had a couple. I had Missouri, which I just said, the Missouri Comic Con. We did Fan Expo Vancouver. Which is it's our second time doing it, so it's a good show. We're gonna go back. Bangor Anime, which was in Bangor, Maine, obviously.
Maine one. Then, I've never heard of a Maine show, man.
Yeah, it was our first foray up there. Apparently, they do one at a different time of the year, and this one was decent. Like it wasn't gangbang or anything, but it was decent. And then we did Alaska Comic Con. So Meg and I's first trip into the Great Northwest. I tell you, it takes a while to get there. That's for sure. Until I looked at a map,
it's about as far from America to America as you can.
Literally as far as you can go from one side of America to the other. But I looked at a map, and my whole life, I thought Alaska was just off the side of Seattle, of Washington.
Oh, because in the map you see the continental, and you just see 2 things.
So that was just how my brain saw it, and so we have a map downstairs, a world map, and I didn't realize it's literally the top of Canada. So we flew to Seattle, and then I was like, "Oh, this trip from Seattle to Alaska shouldn't be that bad, right?" And then I just happened to go in and look at the flight time. It was like 4 hours. I was like, "Holy Christ, where are we going? A puddle jumper?" But
we need more maps in American schools, apparently.
Yeah. Well, they only show America, apparently. But yeah, so that was fun. It was chilly. If anyone who listens to this pod knows anything below 60, and I'm ready to die. So let's just say it was about 60 degrees colder than 60.
Gross.
Well, you're forgetting the show, Ryan.
Huh?
You're forgetting the show that you did.
Am I? Is Sunica?
Yeah, we had our first little hybrid joint.
Yeah. Dylan called me, and he's like, "Hey, I have your stuff," because he's had some of his workers do some of our shows, and he's like, "I have your stuff," and he's like, "I don't have enough." Oh, you didn't have enough room, or you didn't have enough.
I was spread with 3 booths out of my garage, and there was mishaps. So I was like, "Hey, I'm minus half a backdrop. What if we did like a joint venture on this one?" And it was actually kind of a fun looking booth.
It looked really cool because it's like a good the way that our booths kind of go together. I thought it was good. I don't know the word I'm looking for because I'm retarded.
Yeah, I saw the picture of it. It worked. It worked really well. Yeah. You wouldn't know that it was one thing, but it also all flowed very well.
Yeah, I thought it looked very nice. Contrasted very nicely. Thank you. That was the word I was looking for. But all right, so let's get into the news of the day, which has been making its round in some of the vendor chats that I've had, and that's about Square. So, Jeremy, you have the info.
Well, I saw it the other day, and I want to. Dylan and I have talked about this before, and I'm pretty sure he's talked about it on the podcast. But got an email saying that Square's raising their per transaction fee. So, and I think this is just the base. I haven't looked into it a ton. Dylan's the expert. I believe they're raising their base fee to like whatever percent plus however much, like an amount per transaction. I think that amount per transaction is going up from 10 cents to 15 cents.
Right.
So I've never actually hit Square up and tried to get my rate changed or anything like that. But I know Dylan gave me some pointers and I just haven't done it. But maybe this is going to kickstart that. I was thinking it's only 5 cents per fee, but like I went back and looked at my transactions from last year, and it would absolutely it will cost me a significant amount of money this year. So I'm either going to be calling Square up and moving my stuff over somewhere else, so cancel Square, whatever. Maybe try Clover. Ryan, I know you're a big proponent of Clover. or just trying to get them to lower my rate. We'll see what happens. I like Square. I think Square's been really good, so I don't necessarily want to move. But I know, Dylan, if you have any insight into that, and if you wanted to spend some time talking about it.
Yeah, I know Ryan's at Clover, and just for posterity, Ryan, what is your transaction fee that Clover is giving you? If you don't mind saying.
1.7 plus 10 cents.
Okay, so 1.7%.
I take that back. I'm looking at, I don't have the 10 cent. It's 1.7 flat.
Now, do you mind if I ask if that is their default rate, or did you twist their arm?
Again, I know we talked about this in a pod a while back. My bank called me. We bank through Wells Fargo. They called me, and they're the ones that offered it to me. I didn't negotiate. I just knew it was lower than I was paying, and I was just like, I'm in. What do I like? Where's the catch? What am I missing? Like, and he's like, try it free. Try it for the month. See if you like it. And I was like, okay, and I loved it. So
here's my PSA, because I've done a few more things since the last time I mentioned it on the pod, and especially now that Square is raising their flat rate, from 10 cents to 15 cents, which if you're dealing with a lot of small transactions, like maybe you sell a lot of stickers or $5-10 prints, that's going to really add up every time you make a purchase, as opposed to maybe if you make if most of your purchases are like $500, but you sell fewer, maybe this isn't even worth the hassle. But yeah, there are so many different services out there. There's Square, which I love. There's Shopify, which I also love and use. There's Clover. I've actually gone to Bank of America and say, hey, they have their own POS system. There's a million services out there that want a cut of your business. And so reach out to all of them and say, hey, Square's bumping up to 15 cents. What can you offer me? Hey, what can you offer me? Oh, well, Shopify's offering this. Clover is offering this.
Yeah.
And then you compile all this. Yeah. And then you tell everyone, it's like, hey, I'm only interested in the cheapest rate. Like, I understand you offer this service, but I'm going to go with the cheapest rate. And especially if you have a history with Square for years, and they see your stats, they're more than likely going to say, all right, what if we lower to this for you to stay for a year? Because if not, they're just going to say goodbye to your business for you to switch, and you have a lot more power in what your transaction fees are than you might think. So there's my PSA.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good idea to get as many as you can get, and just, like I said, play them against each other. Hey, this one's offering me, whatever, 2.0. Well, okay, maybe we can do 1.9. Yep, this one's 1.9, 1.8. Every little bit is going to help. I mean, just think of it as, it's just extra money in your pocket. So the lower the rate, the better. You don't have to worry about loyalty. Oh, wow, I really like this bank. I don't give a crap. Who's saving me the most money?
And it's honestly an afternoon's worth of effort once a year. It's always good to revisit this. And if an afternoon's worth of effort can save you even $100 or maybe more throughout the year, I mean, that's worth a quick phone call.
Right.
To a few places.
Yeah. Well, I know we were talking about amount per transaction. I think mine's probably lower than some other people, because a lot of our biggest sellers are, we sell them for $8 or 4 for 25, right? So we deal off a lot of volume, and that sucks when a lot of people, especially towards the end of a show or something, somebody comes up and they're like, I'm out of cash. I just want to buy this one thing. It's $8. And it's like, I'm still stoked on getting a sale, but that's a significant amount of that sale is automatically leaving me every time. Especially like I'm on that. I still have my default rate. I looked it up. It's 2.6 plus now will be 15 cent. So that's not insignificant if you're selling hundreds and hundreds of these per show. If you're doing thousands of transactions a year, that's potentially thousands of dollars.
Exactly. That's what people don't realize. It's like, oh, 1.7 to 1.8, that's not a big deal. But think about, how much money you're taking in a year, and 1% of that, it adds up. If you're doing $5,000 in sales over the year, 1% is not really going to matter. But let's be honest, if we're doing this, for a living, you're making a lot more than $5,000 in a year. I hope.
Well, if you're not doing it for a living.
Now, there are other costs to switching. And whenever you're negotiating, whoever you're currently with will bring that up, but you just need to be strict and say,
Yeah.
I'm in it for the long haul, and I'm okay paying for X amount of new hardware, even if you're not. Wink. But you can say, hey, I'm in it for the long haul, and they're offering this. I'll buy new hardware. Maybe looking to see what other features they have on their POS system on the app. And if there is anything you like, be like, I really like this feature. You guys don't offer this feature. For instance, with me, I have a really powerful loyalty program and Shopify app that just doesn't work with Square. And I do tell them that every year. And every time I'm like, all right, it's that time of year again. Like I think my convention customers would benefit from being part of my like loyalty program on Shopify. But if you guys can just like give me a rate that I can't say no to, I'll stick with you. And that's what I do once a year.
And how often? You said you do it once a year. Is it like every August, October? When do you call them to do your little negotiating?
Right at the end of December when there's kind of like no shows, and I'm like, hey, look at what we did this year, and
Okay.
you know what? And then you can always be like, look, we're doing this. If you have an actual rep, you can be like, here's my game plan for why I think we'll do better next year.
So
We're good.
did Square assign a rep?
Yeah, so
Did you
if they
never
don't
talk to
assign
Joe
it to
Smith?
you, you can reach out to them and say, hey, like, can I have a rep? If they don't reach out to you first, and you didn't just sign up, that month, they'll probably assign a rep to you if you request one.
Okay. No, I didn't know that because, like I said, I had just been blindly going with Square with what they were charging normally, and then I got that call from my bank. And I know, Dylan, you've talked to me about it many times, and I've called and I couldn't get them to lower it, but I wasn't really pushy. Like I didn't threaten them because I know you have the Shopify thing as well. And it was my first time, and I do know if I called back, I probably could have made some headway on that. But yeah, when my bank called me, it was just like, hey, we'll do this instead, and I was like, okay, sold. Like, but I kept thinking, like, where's the catch? Like, why are you doing this? But they're my bank. They see how much money comes in and out, and then the number of transactions. They see how often we're putting getting shows deposited. So that's my thought is why they called.
Yeah,
So
I mean that's what they go off of, your volume,
I never
right?
thought about it until it started happening, and it's like, oh, that makes total sense. Why didn't I think of this before? So
yeah, so there's a number to all of these people that you are worth, and it's just a matter of what they can
what they
take.
can, yeah, exactly. And again, the more you make, the lower they're going to go because they're still making whatever their bottom line is.
Yeah, and it's
No.
I assume it's a fairly low risk for them in most cases.
Yeah.
So
I mean, what is the risk? I don't know. Other
yeah, I
than
mean,
maybe
I assume
a
maybe
reader.
if you're somebody that gets chargebacks or something, but
Yeah, maybe the cost of the reader, but the chargebacks they charge you differently on those anyway, right? I
yeah,
mean, I
yeah,
haven't
that all
had
comes back to you.
Yeah, I haven't had one luckily in a while. Knock on
Yeah, I
wood.
don't know. That's
Also,
So
everything's a negotiation because let's just say buying a bunch of hardware for your new system Switch is a pain point. You can say, and maybe they just match it. I almost, even though I haven't switched from Square, I always be like, hey, I'll consider switching, but you guys also have to either give me the hardware for the same amount of teams I have, or at least a rebate or something. I mean, it's whatever you want to make your terms. Again, you have more
yeah,
power than you think.
yeah.
I guess this makes me so. There was a guy going around Megacon. I don't know if he talked to all of y'all, but uh, seemed like a super scummy dude who was
Was he
asking a lot of
pushing a
information,
printing
and
company?
yeah, some horrible printing company. No, it was a guy that he has started a company. Maybe that's a loose word for it, but he was going around trying to take over a bunch of processing stuff for people. His whole deal is he gets you hardware. He has a wholesale bulk rate that he gets, and the hardware that he gives you has the ability to charge an extra amount back to. It's like you're seeing more places do it where they're just charging straight processing fees to the consumer. But his whole deal was I can get you like a rebate that's like, I'll give you half of my profits. And I was like, why don't I just charge them more and take all of the profits? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand what your angle is here. And he kept
must get a
trying to,
kickback.
his whole deal was, I can enter you to win a free, you know,
Car.
system or whatever. And he was like, the trick is everybody wins the system. And I'm like, yeah, no, dude, like, get out of here. I just had to like eventually run him off because he kept trying to like get more information.
Yeah,
So
no.
I don't know what y'all's thoughts are about charging extra for the consumers, but that just wait. I don't know. Maybe it's valid in certain scenarios, but to me, it just seemed dude was super scammy. So
It,
Yeah,
it
I don't
didn't
like
if
really sound like he was offering any value. He was just trying to
yes,
leech off of other people. So I don't know. I don't ever like that kind of business model. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Did he talk to either of you guys?
no, I
Not
actually thought
me.
you were going to talk to another person, which actually had a very interesting. I would shout out if I had his information, but I didn't. It didn't
Ah,
seem interesting. But the guy was like, "Hey, we do these 15 shows, and if you want, like, we'll like take your stuff
Set
from
up?
one show to one show to one show."
Yes. Yeah, we
And
talked
I
about it.
thought,
It
oh,
was
this kind
V1's
of,
guys.
oh, was it?
Yeah, it was
This,
Hassan. Because I talked to Hassan while we were setting up and he brought us up. And continue and then we'll talk more about it. Go
yeah,
ahead.
it
Sorry.
seemed like a good thing. I didn't know it had any connection with that. But I think there were like 15 shows. It's like we'll go to Chicago, and then we'll go to this show and this show, and
You just
it,
show
it
up and it's all set up
like
and
it's
then they
like
break
we
it down.
will drop it off at your booth. I'm like, oh, that's good. We just have a lot more shows in between those shows, so it's like, well, then we'd be without our stuff. But
Oh.
if you were doing those particular shows, then that is a great thing, because I mean, who doesn't want to just show up and sell instead of having to deal with
So you're
travel and
talking about
stuff?
would they actually set your booth up or just drop the stuff
They
off?
would just drop your stuff off on a
Okay. So
pallet in your booth.
the one I was talking about was Hassan's guys with V1 Tech is they would literally set up your booth.
Oh,
You just literally show up and sell and you leave and they set it up and they break it down.
well, that sounds better
And
than the guy I just talked to. Oh, that's already sounding like a better business
Well,
model.
because you know
Like,
V1's probably doing every show you're doing. You know what I mean? So I think that
Mhm.
made sense for them, but it
sounds
didn't make
expensive.
sense. It wasn't. It didn't make sense for us. I think it would make sense for our overseas shows because then we don't have to fly and worry about baggage because of all the extra stuff. But I don't think it made sense for our U.S. shows because our stuff is in 2 bags.
I mean, you guys set up and you can be set up in less than an hour.
Yeah.
Is it worth whatever
No.
amount to do
No.
that? That's hard to justify. I think
Correct.
I think I like the idea of just having someone take our crap
Yeah. You did
because
that one. Didn't you do that at C2 the one year to Boston or something? No, you took mine. Never mind.
no, I took yours. I did that for you. How was that?
That was fantastic. I'm not gonna lie.
Also, that's the year I brought COVID along with me. Apparently,
That's true.
I
It wasn't on my
brought it
stuff.
all. Yeah, part of the problem.
Sorry. Yeah. I totally forgot about
I think that would be really fun. My thing is, we have some stuff that like we're making so much in between shows. Like, even I guess having the setup at each place would be nice, but we have to drive anyway.
Well, honestly, if it's
would you have to
think about it,
drive if your stuff was just
you
there
wouldn't have
though?
to drive if your stuff was there. You could fly.
But if I'm having to restock
And-
500 slate coasters,
yeah, if you have to that many, but think about this, like show to show, depending on what you have, you can maybe pack for 2 shows, and then you could do the next one by yourself because you don't need Jenny there to help set up and
Yeah.
break down, or just send her and you stay home and do nothing.
well, that's valid
Don't
because
tell her I
that's
said
this year. Good thing she doesn't listen.
that. Yeah.
This year we are doing shows more back to back. So we did Megacon, PitsCon. I think coming up we're doing something then Cleveland or Cleveland then something. I can't remember. But yeah, more back to back stuff. We're heading straight there.
Indiana,
I don't know.
Indiana, then Cleveland.
Indiana then Cleveland, back to back. So we're just having to make stuff for multiple shows, which is making it's not the hard part.
You have to think it out. That's the problem. It's like, crap, I forgot about that. That's what I noticed. But once you get in the groove, like I have to do my canvas orders now earlier just to make sure I get, because I have, we have multiple people. Like some shows we have 5 in a weekend. So I have to just get stuff together and make sure I order. That's why I was talking to Dylan before we started recording about, I have a checklist for every show. What do I have to order? And I'm working on the Google Calendar to get my my tasks sent to me, my notifications saying, "Hey, order canvases for X, order prints for Y." So
Yeah, my
luckily,
whiteboard's not cutting it. I have Google Sheets for all of the inventory stuff, so
yeah,
I
same
got to
here.
figure something out there. But
Yeah. So
all
right.
speaking, I'm trying to think. There was something else that I wanted to touch on, but
Maybe
who knows?
are you? You're talking about doing shows back to back. Are you wanting to do more shows? Is that
Oh
something you want
yeah,
to do?
yeah. We can get in. We can have like a whole other show about that. But um, one lesson that I'm learning. So I quit my full time jobs.
Muggle job, as
Um,
they call it.
my Muggle job back.
I don't know what movie
It's
that's from.
been
Get out of here.
No, I'm just kidding. I know that one. It's from Lord of the
I
Rings.
guess it's been 8 months now. So like it's coming up on you know, sort of that time to where I was already planning to do it. One thing that I really
I missed the days, Jeremy, where you and I had to leave setup to go to a meeting out
go
in
to
the hallway.
there was a time I think
That was
I can't
Indiana.
remember which
That was
Indiana,
Indiana.
yeah, where we both went into this super dark spot that
To
was
have a
like meant it was like a cafeteria style thing.
Yeah.
We were both doing our meetings as if we were in our own little areas. And then next thing you know, all the lights come on and people start coming and sitting next to us. And it was just like, oh God, what's happening?
They're
Like you
like,
just
"Can you guys
hope that
keep it down?
people don't
Can
know.
you guys keep it down? We're in a meeting
Yeah.
here."
Just, oh gosh. I'm glad those
Sorry.
days are over.
Good old days.
Uh, so thing that I'm trying to do now is get into more shows, which isn't super hard unless you're trying to do it after they're already booked up and you're trying to like sneak into all these shows. So I think it'd be fun to talk about um, getting into shows off rhythm. I think because I just was like, oh, I'll get to that. We'll worry about next year when we get to next year, and that was dumb.
Yeah,
So
it's
I've
like a
been able
six
to
month.
add some.
It's like a 6 month process. I mean, things can happen last minute if you try, but it's almost a 6 month process to try to schedule
Some
out.
shows, yeah. Some shows you can get away with obviously less. Just depends on the show. But yeah, I think 6 months is like we started talking about. When did Dylan? We had mentioned it. I want to say November. We started saying, hey, if you're not booking everything up for your first quarter, you better get on it, right?
Yep.
And even that was pushing it. So
Yep. Well, like I said, I think it's enough. We could probably fill up an entire show.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, okay.
Talking about getting it, just that whole process, what it looks like. Because if you are new to the game, trying to do this stuff here and there, it's I think after you get into rhythm and you have a bunch of shows set up, you start to forget how much thought goes into that ahead of time.
So
Mm-hmm.
a question regarding that, Dylan, when you were doing shows personally, what's the most you ever did in a row without a break?
Oh, so that was in 22, and that was because in 21 I think I did 3 shows, and then in 22, and those were spread out throughout the whole year. And I thought, hey, like, and then 22 I was like, all right, let's do this. I think I did like 4 in a row, and then maybe there'd be a week or two, but yeah, when I was really starting it out, and that was a sloppy luggage situation going on. I would so many expensive lessons learned back then, and so that was like a tougher 4 in a row than if we did 4 in a row now. Now it'd be a cakewalk to like how automated so many things are, but
So
yeah.
the most I ever did, I want to say it was in 23. I did 9 weekends in a row, and
in a row. I was gonna say
in a row. Literally thought I was gonna die after like 6 of them. I was like, because you get home on Monday, you leave on Thursday, you get home on Sunday, you leave on
prepping.
It was, and some 4-day shows were mixed in there, so you're leaving on Wednesday.
Oh.
So you guys all know Sadie. She does a bunch of shows for us. So she is 1, 2, 3 today. She's doing one. So she's 4 shows into an 11 show in a row run. But keep in mind, she's 23 years old. So
and
just trying to get that paper.
will also
Yeah.
say I doubt she's doing admin in between. I feel like for us, whenever we do a show, there's still work to be done
Yeah. So
to make the
I gotta
business,
get
as opposed to, hey, you actually get your time off in between shows. It's like we kind of don't.
Good point. Good point.
I feel like if all I had to do was drive and fly and set up and sell and then come home and take a break and do it again. Not that it's easier, it's just we do all that plus, like you're saying, you got
plus
all the back
admin.
end things.
Yeah.
I could probably handle a little bit more, but I could tell you that there was like that 3-week stretch around Megacon that I wasn't home, and that sucked.
I had to hire a freaking assistant to help.
I'll get the bug where I'm like, no, I want to make more money. I'm gonna do 4 shows in a row, and then I was like, oh man, I haven't designed anything new in a month. I'm like, well, I wonder why. So I'm like,
that's the good part with me is I'm not doing any of the design, and so I can do that and get away with it. But I'm old.
Yeah, if I could get away from the making of things, I think that would be
Teach Jackson. He's
helpful.
old enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
I want to stick to just making the things. That's where I feel like I moved the
making
needle
is
the most.
fun, like trying new things. Like I sent you guys a picture of some stuff that I'm working on. That's fun. That's exciting. Like prototyping, figuring out new things.
You should send us some and see if we can sell them for you and see how they do. We can let you know because you don't have another show.
I'm game.
Whatever your show is, it's not. If you had one next week, you could do it yourself. But if not, send us some. We can try to let you know how they go.
Yeah, I'm game. We'll do it. I think that's still something that would be fun to do. Is if I could figure out the process and then have someone else actually make the things, even if it's costing a little bit more, that'd free me up quite a bit. I think I could do more shows in that situation. It's all about where you want to apply your time. But 11 weeks in a row is insanely tough for anyone.
Yeah.
So I hope she makes all the money.
Hope she takes her vitamin C. That's all
she just doesn't get sick. It's just 11 weeks of potential like disasters waiting for you.
I know. So
that's another topic too.
So yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and wrap it up here. We'll make this the Great Big Square episode. So
Great Big Square
or be square.
Yeah, I'll try to. I don't know when, but I'm going. I'll make that. I'll give an update at some point to see if Dylan's tactics work.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you guys for tuning in, and the usual. We'll see you. I don't know, when will we see them next? Soon.
Next week.
Yes.
Next week.
We're doing 5.